this is going to be great.
Her response is it wasn't thank you, Josie. It was thank you, Jesus.
Then they'll know that I am God. And I'm like, do they not know that you're God?
We think a lot of moving forward, the problem isn't going to be people proclaiming the name of Jesus or identifying with Christianity, but missing one of the greatest parts of God, which is his lordship.
Yeah. Like, but whatever I'm going to say, if I don't say anything,
keep
right?
talking about God.
That you just keep talking about God.
Yep.
At the same time, you're confessing, she's interceding. You're interceding, she's confessing.
Yep.
So at both times, you're fighting a spiritual war. No,
Not arguing side for side.
that's right.
But just pointing to him, because if we all just pointed to him, the answer, maybe it would fall down.
I know. What was before that?
Oh no.
Oh no.
I don't remember.
It was going to be good. And we're back at Dear God Ministries with Leah and Josie.
Hello.
Just us today.
Just us, baby.
Just us. We actually
Divinely
us. We actually had a guest all set up. We were really excited, and it will. We will have her on soon. But this morning we woke up to a text, 5:30. Just that she's sick.
Yeah.
And all
high
that stuff.
fever.
Yeah. I was already curling my hair. I'm like, oh man, we're not going to record. I'm like, no, what? Me and Josie will record.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is, so I was getting ready for the day, curl my hair, and just excited to sit down with this person and talk. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, well, is it just me and Josie? I guess we'll just talk, which is fine. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
And I really felt like God was like, hey, it's not supposed to just be you guys today. And so in my head, as I'm like getting ready, I'm like, well, who's it supposed to be? Like, who's available on a Thursday at noon?
Yeah.
Like no one is just available. And I'm like, I don't want someone to feel like they're a second thought, like, oh, hey, jump on.
Yeah.
And so I'm like reeling through my head of who do I know that's available today to jump on. But I don't want them to feel bad, but it's not about that. It's just about giving someone like, we have the space to do it. Let's do it. Anyways, I was so in my head. And so I was like going back and forth with God. And I was like, who am I supposed to ask? And so I'm leaving the house and I'm like, I don't run into people. Like I'm dropping my kid off at daycare and then I'm going to the building, you know,
small town.
Yeah.
It's not like people are like walking the streets or anything.
Yeah. Hey, you're supposed to be on a podcast.
Yeah.
And so I texted Josie. I'm like, hey, what's your coffee order today? And so she sends it to me back. And so I'm like, okay, at least I'll drive to Starbucks. Maybe someone will pop up there.
Yeah.
And so I'm, waiting in line for Starbucks and I get this call from Josie and it was, hey,
something really weird just happened.
Something really weird just happened.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is it? And I'm like 2 cars away from ordering our order. And she's like, something really weird just happened. I'm like, okay. And she's like, hey, you know, this person, they just texted me and asked if like they know someone who would like to share their story and their testimony, what God's been doing in their life and what, And she's like, do you think, what if we could get this person on today?
Yeah.
And instantly, like my entire body was like chills.
Yeah.
And so I just start sobbing to her in the Starbucks line. And I'm like, Josie, I don't even know what to say. Hang up with me, call this person back because God literally told me it's not supposed to be just us today. And so she's like, okay, I knew it too. And I don't know how her morning went yet because I didn't hear all that, but she's like, I knew it too. And I'm like, okay, call back. And so I'll let you take it from there.
Anyway,
like, the rest is you.
I was sitting down, I was just reading my Bible when she had texted and I was so sad, not because she couldn't come, but just because I couldn't be with her. She's one of those people that like, you just want to be around her. You're always so encouraged. You're always so strengthened by this person. And I knew she would do that with our viewers. So I was so sad for that part. But then I was so sad for how she's feeling sick because I know this person has so much on her plate. And so my heart was just going out first. So I was just praying over her health and her schedule. And as I was praying, I'm just like, I think we're supposed to have somebody on the podcast. Same thought as Leah. I'm like, I don't think it's supposed to just be us today. But then what does my brain always do? It goes to logic. And so I'm running through my head. I'm like, okay, who's off today? Who have we? Because we have this list. This is kind of how we do our podcast guests. If a name comes to us, if an experience happens, we sort of write it on our notes list, a shared note between me and Leah, and we just constantly pray over the names. We kind of wait for the Lord to speak, kind of wait for nudges from the Holy Spirit. We take it to each other. We discern it together, see where both of our hearts are at, and then we kind of move forward with the person. So we don't do anything off logic. And here I am trying to run through my head, like, okay, who's off today? Who's a stay-at-home mom? Who's in ministry that could like do a quick lunch? Like we could go to them, like all these things. And so I'm like, nothing logically is making sense. So I just gave up. I was like, okay, it's just us. That's fine. That's great. Let's do it. And then, which I don't think he'll mind me sharing his name because he's spoken in my life so much. He's such a sweet guy. His name is Eric. And he actually does a lot of prayer walks around our town and prays for our city. And he does not know how prophetically he has spoken into so many people's lives, and been a vessel of answered prayer for so many people. And he messaged me and he's telling me about his brother and his story and something awful that he's going through and how God has showed up big in his life and how he's relying on God and trusting God and all this stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, she'd be the perfect person to have on. Call Leah. And she's like, no way. I was praying. I thought I was going to meet someone at Starbucks. I didn't know where to go. So she's trying to make it happen on her accord, and I'm trying to make it happen on my accord. And then the Lord provides us this person. We start packing up because we think we're going to head somewhere to meet him, and it doesn't work out. It kind of falls through, but we still felt God talk to us in that morning. And I think kind of when we were talking about bringing this up, like, where would we start with podcast days? We're like, let's just start with the story of our morning. And I think so many people would take that scenario and discount what happened because the opportunity, air quotes, or the scenario that maybe you felt God speaking didn't happen. Yeah. And so then people would discount that of, oh, I didn't hear the Lord right. Or, oh, my prayer wasn't heard. Or, man, I must have been thinking wrong because the speaker didn't work out. And we both felt very strongly we were supposed to have someone else on this podcast. But there's lots of forces at work. That's right. Right? And so we can only do our end. Yeah. And so anyways, as I was thinking about it, it brought me to I'm doing Bible recap, and I'm a little bit behind, but I was in Genesis 39. And we've both kind of been actually focusing on Joseph, which I think you're kind of out of Joseph right now, right? You're kind of out of the Israelites. But we both kind of looked at Joseph in our studies as we were kind of going through his story. And Joseph is a man who he got a prophetic dream, right? That his brothers would one day bow to him and that he would rule over his brothers. And he's a younger, so this made the older brothers jealous and bitter, which caused them to sell their brother into slavery to sort of get rid of this problem. And so he goes to be a slave in Egypt under the Pharaoh. So people who worship false gods, different religions. So pretty tough environment to be in and still serve faithfully to the Lord. But he stayed faithful, and then he ends up, Pharaoh's wife tries to seduce Joseph. And
Potiphar's wife.
Who's?
Potiphar.
Yes. Yeah.
So he starts in Potiphar's house, which is like the chief officer of Pharaoh.
Yes, you're right.
Then he gets up.
Yep. And so she keeps trying to seduce him, and he doesn't do it. And he says, I'm going to stay faithful to my God. I can't go against my God like that. Keeps doing it. This lady, to save time, ends up getting hold of some of his garments and uses that as proof to show that Joseph slept with her, which would be a huge disgrace in that culture. And so that person takes it to Pharaoh, and then Pharaoh sends Joseph to prison. And so he's wrongly accused, and he's sitting in prison. And what I found so interesting was that throughout the story, you don't see, after Joseph was falsely accused, him trying to prove his innocence or him arguing back. Like, you don't see that anywhere. And so as I kept reading, and I had written about this, I'm like, whether it's in the text or whether Joseph actually did say something, right, did try to prove his innocence, or fight back or whatever, it's not in the text.
Right.
And so, and what I wrote is like, I think that's for purpose, right? Because that's not the point. The point wasn't Joseph's righteousness. The point wasn't that God heard Joseph's voice or whatever, which he did. But the point was, but the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love and gave him favor in the sight of the prison keeper. So it wasn't, oh, Joseph was doing everything right and can hear God perfectly and have this prayer. Like that wasn't the point to get to an outcome, right? So Joseph wasn't sitting there being like, I'm innocent so that I can get out of prison, so that I can see the miracle, so that you can provide for me, so that this outcome will happen. It's God was with him and God heard him, right? And like protected him. And same with like in the story today, sure, the outcome didn't happen the way we wanted it to, but God was still in that moment speaking to us.
Yeah.
And that's the miracle that we have to see. It's not always the outcome of Joseph wanting to not go to prison.
Yeah.
It's not always the outcome of us wanting this cool story of this guy to come on the podcast. It's the fact that God even spoke to us this morning.
That's right.
And it happened.
That's right.
That God even met us this morning and it happened, right? And not like a scenario that we get to finish.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's good. Well, and I'm glad that you pointed that out, because I think I was trying to put words to it, where this morning, again, I come here. So then I'm on a 15-minute rushing back to this building from Starbucks, because I'm thinking that we're pulling this guy on.
Yeah.
And Josie's talking to him, but
texting her.
but I'm at Starbucks and I'm darting there and I'm like, this is going to be great. And so I have this expectation that I'm going to pull up to the building. I'm going to get out. I'm going to see Josie and she's going to be like, he's coming. And she's sitting in her car, chill, right? Like you're just sitting there. I'm like, is he coming? Like, do we need to prepare for him? And she's like, well, I just don't know. And so that moment, typically when I hit that moment, because I thought I heard God's voice this morning, I thought that was confirmation of Josie telling me, oh yeah, this guy reached out, how weird. So then I'm like, oh gosh, I did hear God. Okay, this is all going to happen the way I think it's going to happen. And I come here and it's not happening the way I think it's going to happen. So normally I would then be like, know what? I actually didn't hear God's voice. That was just me. That wasn't him speaking to me.
I'm making stuff up in my head.
Yeah, I wanted it to be him. I wanted it to be whatever. And so I start doubting that I know God's voice, because the outcome doesn't look the way that I thought it was going to look like, or that it made sense. So then we come in the building, we're sitting down, we're eating our egg bites, whatever. And I kind of said, like, something about this came up. And remember you said, Josie, you're like, yeah, but that's the miracle. And I'm like, you're right. The miracle is not that I get the outcome I wanted or that I expected. It's that God spoke to me. I heard him. I recognize that. And that's all I need. I mean, I'd love to have someone sitting on this podcast talking to us, but I'm like, a huge struggle for me, and I think for so many people, is that we doubt that we hear God's voice. We doubt that we know it, that we're obeying it, that we're walking in it. Like everyone second guesses. It's just like the enemy to do that to us, right? And stuff like this, like sometimes it doesn't make logical sense and it's not supposed to. And so it's really hard to start trusting, not in our own abilities, but honestly in our relationship with Jesus and who he is, and that he is a God who still speaks. And so I'm sitting in this moment and being like, you know what? You're right. Because normal Leah would have just started spiraling and being like, oh, here we go. I don't know God's voice again. I made it all up just to make myself feel better. And I do think, not to keep being like, guys read the Bible, but guys read the Bible. Like as I'm reading through, I was just like, this morning, I was like, oh my goodness, I love like not splitting it up, not breaking up all the stories, like following a person through their whole journey, because through their whole journey, you see transformation. And I think, again, that moment that I have where I'm realizing the miracle is that God is speaking to me and that I heard him. And I had enough faith to drive to Starbucks thinking I was going to meet somebody. Like, again, I normally would have been like, oh, okay, cool. Like there is no one. Sorry, God, must not be real. But I'm like, I'll go to Starbucks. Maybe I'll meet someone there. Like that's my intention. So now my faith, I'm recognizing, just like I think we talked about on our last podcast, how was it Jacob, where like you start seeing this transformation of how much they trust God. Yeah, no, it was Abraham is who we're talking about, because he ends up getting at the beginning, right? He starts laughing at God when he's like, hey, you and your wife are gonna have a baby. And he laughs at God, right? Then we get to this point in his journey that we see God be like, hey, kill your son as an offering. And he's like, okay. Like you see like, how much his trust in God and his promises has grown. And so today was just a reminder of being like, oh my gosh, I actually believed it enough that I drove to Starbucks anticipating and expecting to meet someone who's going to sit on a podcast. Like that's why I drove the Starbucks. I mean, I'll take the drink too, but so I love what happens. Like when you read the Bible, you start to see that, and then you start recognizing it in yourself and being like something, that I struggled with maybe a couple of years ago. God, you've brought me so much farther. Like, thank you. Thanks for being patient with me, first of all, because all I do is doubt, everything all the time. But it's little wins like that. We had a breakfast date with someone earlier this week that we have had relationships with for the last few years. And it was just one of those reminders of reading the Bible, how frustrating it can be, especially when you're like, it's not doing what I think what I know it's supposed to do. And that just kind of came to my mind because, again, how I played out this scenario of how today was supposed to play out, right? Like, I'm like, oh, God, I see what you're doing. When really he's like, you don't see it. Like you think you see it. You want it to be like that. Yeah. Probably for a cool story.
I just want you to obey.
Yes.
Yeah,
he's like, I almost like those little testings that we talked about with Abraham. And I think I'm, like you said, I'm kind of reading the story of the Israelites right now. They just got out of Egypt. And there's multiple times that it says the Lord tested them. The Lord tested them. The Lord tested them. I'm like, why does he keep testing them? Like, but we need testing to recognize how much growth that we've had. Or I think to reveal how much trust we don't have, and so you have to be open to seeing that too, of being like, oh, I don't trust you here. How can I grow that? How can I refine it? How can I strengthen that? And what part of you, God, do I not trust?
Yeah. And even like with this morning, I always have to like back up too and be like, it doesn't mean that wasn't supposed to happen today. That there's so many other factors and forces at play in that person's life, in other people's lives, in work lives, in that boss that, you know what I mean? Like there's so many other relationships and stuff at play that can affect something coming to pass, right? Which we believe in our hearts that it will,
right?
That person was brought to us for purpose and that God will bring him on this podcast,
right?
And maybe it was supposed to be today,
right?
And then maybe it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like there's other things kind of at play, which God knew exactly how it'll play out. God knew that it wasn't going to happen today, but it doesn't mean that there wasn't something else that got to that person or that got to that boss or that got to that wife or whatever, and we kind of forget about that too, is like, because it didn't happen doesn't always mean like we disobeyed or we didn't hear him and sometimes it is that we did that, but it's not always that there's like other things at play. Yeah.
I think my struggle, I need to look for it in the Bible where it came up, because I'm like, oh man, this is me. And it's playing out the story. And I think we do that so often. Like, even if we wait a little bit to be like, okay, God, I'll wait for this. And as soon as you get like one little confirmation, then I instantly am like, oh, this is the finish line.
Woo!
Yeah. I knew I was going to do this. I knew this, and then that's not the story.
Well, and you see that in the Bible too, like confirmations come and then sometimes it's years before something happens.
Yes. And I'm like, that is such a struggle in my life.
Same.
It's like just trying to have that answer because no one wants to not have control. No one doesn't want to know what's next. Like sometimes I kind of laugh at, I did this just this week. I met new people. We started a new alpha class. So I have a whole new table of new people who I have to get to know. They have no idea who I am. So it was really funny because we went around the table and you had to say like a adjective to describe yourself, starting with the first letter of your name. And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh man, what am I going to pick that's different than I've ever picked before? Not that they would know, right? And someone I've never met, I've spent 5 minutes with her, right? What did she say? So I think I'd pick lively. That's what she said. I'm like, do I put off that energy this fast? Okay.
That's sweet.
It's just sweet whenever you've never met someone before. And
how
like
they
in the
see you.
first 5 minutes, what is it?
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Anyways, so I'm sitting in this alpha thing. What was I talking about?
New alpha class.
I know. What was before that?
Oh no.
Oh no.
I don't remember.
It was going to be good.
I was just talking about how there's other things at play, like other forces.
Yes. Oh, and knowing
Kinda
the
like-
story.
Yeah. Oh, playing out the story in your head.
Yeah. But I can't remember what I was talking about alpha.
I don't either.
Darn it.
Oh well. You'll come back.
We'll
it'll
come back if we
it'll
need
come to
to.
your brain. I know it will.
Ugh.
I
Okay.
don't remember.
Oh, well. Well, if we start a new alpha class,
Yeah.
I don't know what I was going. I had no idea what I was talking about.
I'm sitting here like, oh, I'm all right.
Yeah,
What are you
you're
gonna-
so into
Yeah,
it.
like, what are you gonna say?
My liveliness took over.
And this is a real conversation of two moms
I'm so excited.
with middle schoolers and high schoolers
Oh
and
my
2.5-year-old
goodness.
and husbands.
That's
And
crazy.
anyways,
We did start alpha again, which if you're new to listening or you don't know what alpha is, it's this class that
so good.
we do. It's kind of it's like this catch-all, right? So there's believers in there who have been believers for a very long time, who feel like maybe they've gotten to a point in their walk that things are starting to like not make sense. It's almost like the more you know the Bible, the less you know.
Mhm.
Like you get to this point of being like, I know so much now that I feel like I know nothing, you know? So I'm like, it's kind of, you have that point, you have people who are very skeptical and being like, I don't know if I believe any of this stuff, you know? You have people who are like, I actually don't believe this stuff, but I'm coming anyways because I want to, or whatever. I feel like I'm supposed to, or I'm coming with my spouse or my girlfriend or my boyfriend. Anyways, it's this big catch-all. And so we just started this week, and I'm anxious for it. I think every time it happens, like we go through this session, something new happens, not just with other people, but like inside of me, where I always walk into things and I'm like, I don't know if I'm really expectant. Like I'm just here. I'm just coming to church today because this is what I do.
Mhm.
You know, like we get so comfortable. And I tried really hard this last Sunday to walk in and be like, I need a different attitude.
Mhm.
Instead of I've done this before, same old thing. Like I'm just showing up because I show up. I'm like, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to be like, God, what are you going to do this time? Because I know you're going to do something. So
Yeah, that's good.
yeah, that was my Sunday. I have no idea what I was talking about. I felt like I was really excited because I got really
Yeah.
excited, which means there was something. But
Oh,
I know.
divine encounters.
That's right.
I had one. I asked her, I was like, if I could share this story, and because it's an old girlfriend of mine, but I obviously won't say her name or anything just to protect privacy. But I had on my Snapchat, I have a very small circle group of friends on my Snapchat. My husband and I have kind of made the rule, like, no girls, like opposite sex on Snapchat. Not because we don't trust each other, but just out of respect and honoring a spouse. And so I just have a really like small group of girlfriends on my Snapchat. And I had created like this story because we were building a house, just to like talk to people about the design, countertops, whatever, you know, just how you talk to your girlfriends, ones I can't see all the time. And so I had put something on there and she had a question about it, and we hadn't talked in, we talk every now and then, but nothing crazy. Like maybe just little updates here and there, you know, like you do with old friends. But she had reached out and she had started messaging me, and I don't even remember how we got on the topic. I can't remember. Oh, she goes, "Oh my gosh, while I have you, I should tell you this story that happened." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, tell me the story." And she's like, I have been having dream after dream after dream of this one person, an ex-boyfriend of hers, wanting to commit suicide. And she's like, I cannot get this out of my head. Like at first it was scaring me, and me and my husband were praying for the dreams to go away because I was waking up like jostled and like heart pounding because it was scary. She's like, I'd wake up crying. And so me and my husband started praying like for these dreams to flee, but they kept coming. And so she's like, instead, then we started praying for the person in the dream. And she's like, it kind of switched. And so we started praying over this person, and they kind of talked about him, whatever. And then like a week later, they go to church in where she goes to church is like the smallest town on the planet. Like there's no reason for like anyone to be showing up there. Like it is so small. Everyone's been going there since they were like 2. They just don't leave the area. Like wooden church pews, no fancy like equipment. I don't think they even like record their services. Just a little country bumpkin little church, which I love.
Yes.
And so that's where they go to church, and they go to church one day. And they're there, and then in walks this ex-boyfriend that she's been dreaming about and that they've been praying about. That's nuts.
That's crazy.
And there's no reason for him to be going to that church. Like there just isn't. I don't know where he lives, but that wouldn't be the first place he would go. Like there's tons of churches. And so he shows up, and Emily is like telling her husband, like, I think you should kind of like foster this relationship or whatever. So they're fostering this relationship, and I haven't gotten quite the update on that yet, but just the miracle of God, one, working through dreams and visions, which I think is increasing. And I think it's going to continue to increase. And it's increasing in the way that we can no longer deny that he speaks this way.
Right.
And it's story after story that comes to me like this, that you just can't convince me anymore that he doesn't. I've seen it in my life. I've seen it in my friends' lives. I've seen it in random strangers that will tell me about it in their lives. And so there was that story. And then through all this, she begins texting me, and we just begin texting each other. And mind you, just the restoration that God has done in this specific relationship is crazy to me. When we were in high school, we kind of like got out, and she was actually the one that gave me my first Bible. So when I found the Lord, she was just kind of finding the Lord. And when I finally gave my life to Jesus, I actually went to a Bible study at her church for a little bit, because she was kind of the only person I knew in the area that had relationship with Jesus. And she actually purchased my first Bible, which is my study Bible. That's going to be my legacy Bible. I have it everywhere with me. There's stuff all over it. She's the one that bought this Bible. And then we kind of went through this period of butting heads, and we let a lot get to us. I was erring on the side of 1 foot into my faith and 1 foot out. And we've talked all about this, and she was erring on the side of legalism. And so we were just at it. And I think at one point we seriously had each other blocked. Like we wouldn't even let each other like message each other. And all these years later, he's bringing this relationship back around. And I'm like, just the restoration that he does when we've both been seeking him so hard, and then we come together and we look at each other like sisters in Christ, and we just have this like outpour for one another, and like we're telling each other we love each other, whatever. And we're like, we've walked through so much together. We've seen so many parts of each other's lives, and keep talking. And this is all right through a Snapchat about my home decor. And so then we just start admitting things we're struggling with. And I'm telling her things I've told nobody. And this is over text, someone that I used to have blocked. And she's telling me things that she's never told anyone. And we're praying over each other. And then the next few days, we're like, every time some of these thoughts that we're talking about come to our head, we text each other. And then we're finding on like day 3 or 4, the thoughts are gone. They're not coming. And it was almost like we prayed over each other for them to leave. And then it was also this accountability factor of every time my mind would start to go there, I knew I was going to have to tell her about it. And so then there's that too. And so we saw some sin flee from both of us, which was incredible through this relationship. So good. And we just got dinner with them, but I'm just incredibly proud of her for how far she has come, and they're such an amazing family. But I'm like, just the restoration God will do in a relationship, and how he will use things so unexpectedly. And this another thing about working in the Holy Spirit and giftings, and because we get asked questions about that a lot, and how do you do that, and how do you find that, and how do you seek that, which are all good things. They're such good things, but there is a heart posture involved in it. And a trusting in the Lord, and a trusting in the way he's given the gift or the way he speaks to you, just like we were talking about. But as I was texting her, she was telling me about this one specific thing that she's struggling with. And I was praying over it, and my heart was so pure for her. There was just nothing other than I wanted to see her understand God in this specific way that I knew she wasn't understanding him. And she's done that for me too. But she's texting me, and as she's texting me, all I keep hearing in my head is childlike faith. Childlike faith. And I'm like, why do you keep saying that? And I'm like, I don't want to call her a child or like, right? So we start doing that. And he's just childlike faith, childlike faith. She's my daughter. She's my daughter. And he keeps saying this to me, keeps like pounding my head. And it's not right. It's not a voice from the sky. It's a thought that consistently penetrates my brain that like, I'm not conjuring, right? Like it just comes up
Repetition.
like constantly. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to obey. And I messaged her and I was like, hey, you know, as I'm texting you, I just feel like the Holy Spirit, I feel like God's speaking to me for you. Something I think he wants you to focus on is getting back to a childlike faith. And I think he wants you to understand that he's not a distant, absent father that is kind of negating your problems because he doesn't want to deal with it, or that he's kind of glancing over you. Like he's close with you. Like she needed to know that she was his daughter and that he views her like a child and that he wants to be sitting in these moments with her, not just me sitting in these moments, him sitting in these moments with her. So I text her this and she messages back and she's like, sorry, I can't text back right now. I'll text you back later. And I'm like, oh no, what'd I do? I offended her.
A thumbs up.
Oh no. Yeah. Leanne or thumbs up on her text messages. And so anyways, and so she texts back and she was like, this is just exactly what I needed to hear, exactly what I needed to be told. I sat with the Lord in that. And like, she went to God in it, right? Because I was bold enough to believe that God was speaking to me for her.
That's right.
You know, instead of questioning whether that was coming from God and doing it, not doing it out of insecurity. Yeah. Because I would offend her, or what if I look stupid, or what if I'm making it up in my head again? I do that. I make stuff up in my head, you know, instead of that, but saying it and it didn't, what I loved about her response is it wasn't thank you, Josie. It was thank you, Jesus. And so the obedience of pointing someone to him and not making your gift about yourself or wanting praise for it or whatever, you know, you see the fruit of using your gift to point people to him, you know, but
so many things in that. One, when you're talking about the redemption, right? Or like God redeeming that. Before we jumped on the pod, then we were talking about Joseph and those brothers. See, again, like Josie was really like just highlighted to her were these brothers. So
yeah, I still don't know why.
Yeah. Maybe, so like, and maybe, well, I don't know either. I had brought up like, cause Joseph goes away, right? He gets sold. And then we follow the life of Joseph. We don't hear about the brothers. And so I think I'd written down, I'm pretty sure I wrote down 17 years. So I think it was a 17-year swing from when he's sold into slavery to when he's in, like sitting on the throne with Pharaoh, I think. I don't know. No one quote me. I think that's what I saw. So then the brothers come back and Josie was like, this is so weird. What a character change. Like when they're coming, they're humble. When they're coming, they're like, very accepting, grateful. It seems like totally different brothers, right?
So for kind of where we're at here, these are the brothers that were bitter and jealous, so bitter and jealous that it created anger. They sold Joseph into slavery. Joseph is now a leader in the Egyptian empire. I don't even know what you call it.
Country?
Castle?
Nation?
Pyramid? How Western of me. Anyways, so he's a leader in this culture. Like he's been trusted. He's been given land to like, you know, be a leader over. He's given food, whatever. And so when these brothers come back, there had been a famine in the land. Yes. And Joseph collected a bunch of food in Egypt to make sure everyone would have food throughout the land of Egypt. And so then the famine was in the whole rest of the world. These brothers hear about Joseph, or not about Joseph, about a leader in Egypt had collected all the food, whatever. So they go to this leader, not knowing it's Joseph. Yes. But when they come, they're humble.
They're super humble.
They're honest.
Yeah. And God's putting them through a test constantly to show Joseph their heart.
Yeah.
Because Joseph, the last he knows, they just threw him in a well and
Yes.
sold him off to slavery.
Yep.
So I'm like, he probably feels lucky to be alive, you know? And so I'm like, but he's standing here with all the power, right? Looking over these people who have abused him.
And they don't know it's
and
Joseph.
they don't know.
That
So
it's their brother they sold into slavery.
he has, oh my gosh, he could play so many tricks, right?
Yeah.
And so luckily he's listening to the Lord. And the Lord is leading Joseph. And I do think some people could be like, well, this is like trickery, right? You're tricking your brothers, you're tricking your whatever. But I'm like, I think just as the Lord tests us to reveal things, I think the Lord's testing the brothers to expose their change of heart to Joseph, because whenever the reunion happens, Joseph weeps. He's like filled with joy because he's standing with his brothers, but also I just missed 17 years of our lives together. Do you know what I mean? Like there's all these emotions and he's weeping because he's like, I'm with my family again. And it wasn't full of bitterness. It wasn't full of hatred. It wasn't full of all these bad things. And I'm like, I think God was exposing that. But the thing that we kept being like, what happened in 17 years? Not that we know.
Yeah.
And this is the thing about the friend that you're talking about is like, you guys haven't talked in years.
Yeah.
We don't know what God's done in your life or her life to change and refine and purify your hearts. But then he brings you together and then he maybe puts little tests through you. So you have to expose that to one another to be like, you are good men. Because that's what Joseph keeps being like, I'm testing to make sure you're good men, that you're honest men, that you're rightful men, you know? And so I'm like, I think God sometimes does that so that we can expose it to each other.
Yeah.
So that we can heal it.
Yeah.
So we
heal
can
and trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was something else this morning I was reading. So I'm in Exodus, remember? So the Israelites just left Egypt and they're wandering through the wilderness. They're complaining literally non-stop.
Same.
And I got to this story this morning and I've done a couple like chapter, there's a chapter over the story of the first time that we see Joshua. And he comes in and he's going to fight for the Israelites against the Amalekites. Moses is going to go up on a hill. He has to hold this staff up. And Aaron and come alongside of him and lift his arms up. It's in Exodus 17, starting in verse 8. So this imagery, this story, this event, I feel like it's kind of known, right? Like it's that image of Moses. He's lifting up his arms. He's getting really tired, and there's two men alongside of him holding up his arms for him because he's too tired. So this morning I'm reading through it, and so we've heard about this story so many times, and I'm like, okay, God, I don't want to just skip over it, right? I don't want to just be like, yeah, I know the story. Oh yeah, I've already researched this. Like, but I'm reading it, and honestly, this morning I'm like, yeah, like I know, and it's hard for me to look through it through a different lens, right? Like I have a whole chapter of my book about this.
Yeah.
And so
It's hard to not go there.
Yeah. Like I'm trying to look at it and be like, what else, God?
Fresh.
What else, God? What else, God? And literally, and I don't really have that much. I have one thing highlighted in this section. But this is what, when you're talking, I'm like, okay, God, I think maybe this makes sense, is how you were talking about, so you're reaching out and you guys start like sharing things that are going on, thoughts that you've never told anyone else, and you're praying for each other. And then 4 days later, it's gone and we're not having those thoughts anymore. And I'm like, this is the thing, is like Moses was standing. Okay. So there's literally the first like war against Israel happening. Moses goes up on a hill. Joshua is down there physically doing the battle. Is the battle won because of the physical fighting, or because Moses, Aaron, and are interceding and praying? It takes both, right? It's not just because Joshua is doing all the work. It's not just because Moses is and Aaron and up on a hill praying and interceding. It takes both actions, right? And so I'm like, so that story, how we can make this personal, right, is you have this friend who she's putting in the work of like you guys have those thoughts, right? And you're putting in the work of exposing them and reaching out to somebody. And then they are doing the work of praying.
Yep.
So there's both actions happening at the same time. You're confessing, she's interceding. You're interceding, she's confessing.
Yep.
So at both times, you're fighting a spiritual war. And then 4 days later, you're like, it's gone. Joshua defeated the Amalekites. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And Moses did, and did, and Aaron did. So I'm like, it's funny sometimes when you're reading the Bible and you're like, I don't know what this is saying more than I already know. It's not fixing anything. But then something like that happens. And I'm like, I see it, God.
Yeah.
I see it. Like it takes intercession. It takes confession. It takes letting someone see exposed parts of your hearts so that they can protect you in that, right? And pray you through it. But it also takes actions from us, not just being like, oh yeah, they're praying for me. Like you had to do the work too. And it takes both ends. And then the other thing that came to my mind when she's like, or when she texted you back and it didn't say, thank you, Josie. It said, thank you, Jesus. The one thing I had highlighted in this section is verse 9, the very end. It says, staff of God in my hand. So Moses is saying, I'm going to go up on this hill. I'm going to hold the staff of God in my hand. Previously through this, it's this random shepherd staff that Moses had when he was tending sheep before he was ever saw the burning bush called by God on this huge adventure, right? Same staff. It's the same staff he uses during the plagues that we see in Egypt that are happening. It turns into a serpent at one time. He strikes the Nile with it and turns into blood. It parts the Red Sea. So like the staff has been used for miracle after miracle after miracle. And it's referred to as Moses' staff. And then in this moment, he says the staff of God in my hand. And so I'm like, oh wait, the word change. Is it a different item? Like that's what I was like thinking. And I wrote down the staff. God calls it the rod of Moses and honors Moses. Moses calls it the rod of God and honors God. And so I'm like, isn't that so cool? Where like, whenever we honor God for who God is, what he does, God honors us. We don't have to like yell our praises and be like, yeah, you know, I have this great gift that God gave me. Yep. Like you don't even have to do that because really if we honor God and glorify him, he's going to honor us. And that's way more than I could ever like ask for, right? That's more than I could ever demand or be like, hey, look at me and look at my cool gift that I can do and use for you. Like that means nothing.
Well, and I would argue that if that's your response, because that's mine sometimes.
Yeah.
I get caught up in that.
Right.
But you're not using it to its full potential.
Yeah.
Like God gives gifts,
Right.
and he's going to use you despite a heart posture. But there's way more potential for that gift.
Yes.
When we surrender the heart posture in it.
Yes.
And you'll see it explode.
Yeah.
When you give it to God instead of inherently trying to like give glory to yourself. Because we've all done it. We all do that. And we've all asked for gifts because we want them, not because we want to build the bride.
Yes.
You know? And so the more my heart breaks for the bride and the more my heart breaks for my brothers and sisters in Christ, the more my heart breaks for people who don't know God, the increase I see of the supernatural happening in my life.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen through will.
Yeah.
Or like positive affirmations or like repeating it to yourself over and over and over again. Hopefully I'll believe it. It takes through surrendering your heart, you know, and it takes God actually changing a motive, you know? And it's like, I feel like for so long I would bounce back and forth with my motives and I'd never trust myself. And I'd be like, okay, but I know this secret little thing is in my heart. Like, I know this secret little thing is I kind of want someone to tell me good job. Or I know this secret little part of my heart I want to be like, oh, Josie, you had something really cool to say. You know, or like, oh, like there's still a little part of me that wants that, God, and I don't like that about that I have. And so there's no thinking your way out of that. It's being transformed by scripture because God starts to transform your heart. It's supernatural. It exceeds therapy. It exceeds thought patterns. It exceeds, ashwagandha. I don't even know. What are they doing now? Psychedelics? Like it surpasses all of that. those are temporary. There's something that God does to your heart when you're reading his word, you're following people, you're praying to him, you're surrendering. There's something supernatural that happens to your heart.
Yeah.
There is. And
Yeah.
I've experienced it
Yeah.
because some of the bitterness that I've had towards certain people is
Yes.
vanished.
Right.
And there is nothing I did to do that.
Right.
Nothing.
No.
I didn't go to not dogging on therapy. Okay. I just have to, slide that in there before we get a comment on YouTube about dogging therapy or something. Not dogging it, but that's not going to transform your heart.
Right.
And I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
In a culture that's bending on truth, we got to stand on what's true.
Yeah.
Therapy will help. It's not going to transform your heart. God does that.
That's right.
It can kickstart it.
That's
But
right.
he's going to transform your heart. And it took the long route like the Israelites
Yeah. Yeah.
for him
yeah.
to transform my heart.
Don't we all though?
Yeah, seriously.
Don't we all? Getting into this section, and I know you're not there yet, of Exodus, which Josie has another class that she added onto her schedule in life too. So double duty with Bible readings. That's right.
I love it.
Ooh. But the Israelites, I always feel like I hit this part and that's where I feel real convicted. I could
So
skip
true.
through it and be like, I wouldn't do that. But I'm like, everything they do, I'm like, yeah. I wish I was Joshua. I wish I was Moses. I wish I was Aaron. Like, I wish I was those people. And like, to be honest, if I went 3 days without water, which is the part I'm at right now, I would be screaming too. And this is honestly what I would be doing is I would be like, I made the wrong choice. That
That's
wasn't
good.
God's
That's
voice.
good. Yeah.
You know what I
Same.
mean? Like,
yeah.
we can joke all day and be like, oh, I knew God was going to provide. No, I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
And, yeah.
because I already question if I know God's voice or not. And so if I saw miracles and I wanted it to be true, but then 3 days of starving with no water and I'm in a desert, like 3 days is the longest you can go without water in a desert climate. So I'm like, they're like on the verge of probably dying. Right. And then they're like, I never heard God's voice. This wasn't real. I made it all up. Like that truly, that's where I get to. And I think God tests me. I think he's trying to grow me in that to be like, hey, just because you suffer doesn't mean that I'm not near. Just because you suffer doesn't mean that you didn't hear me. Like our outcomes are not like dependent.
Yep.
Or what am I trying to say?
That the outcome is not dependent on his presence in your life.
Yes.
Like he can still be very present in your life without the desired outcome, without the blessing, without the promised land.
Is the entire story of the Israelites.
The entire story. Because guess who brings them into the promised land?
Right.
Joshua.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so funny you said that. I wrote something down, but really fast before we get to that. Literally the entire story of the Israelites is, which I don't even say they're lucky, because we're lucky. Like we have the Holy Spirit living inside of us. We literally have God inside of us. But the Israelites have a physical representation of Jesus or of God's being and his presence. It's a pillar in fire, like a pillar of cloud, right? Pillar of something, and a cloud, pillar of cloud, pillar of fire. I don't know.
It's a cloud and a fire.
A cloud and a fire.
And do they kind of say his staff was sort of like a house of the Holy Spirit? Or
well, they're going to use that. So like right now they see these physical things because they're following it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's God.
They're following the cloud.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then at nighttime, the fire. So they have light.
Yes.
And so I'm like, right now it's
Okay,
this
I'm remembering
physical
now.
thing. But along the way, God's trying to build things to build the Ark of the Covenant. So he's like, hey, save that manna, save that rod, save that. And it's testimonies of how God's shown up. So like soon it's going to be contained in this ark, which then will be a temple, which then will be us.
Which they didn't know that was going to be used for the ark.
No.
So they're probably like, why are we picking this up?
Yeah. Why are we saving manna? Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
But all that to say,
Anyway.
like they had this representation of his presence
In front of
they
them. Yeah.
probably heard him speaking to Moses. I kind of sat on that for a second too, is did they hear God speak? Because it never says Moses went off on his own. Moses went up a mountain. We're not there yet. But it says God speaking to Moses. And so I'm like, I wonder if the people heard it. And then they're still questioning God. And I'm like, yep, that's me. That's me. He literally does miracle after miracle. And then I'm still sitting here like, and not saying it's not enough, but like, then the next time comes of like, do you trust me now? Do you trust me now? Do you trust me? And I'm like, I do for 3 days. And then after that,
Yeah.
that suffering
Yeah.
is hard.
Yeah, that's good.
What you're going to say, he's bringing him into the promised land where you're like, doesn't Joshua bring them in?
Joshua does that.
It reminds me, I wrote it down. Before we start podcasting, we pray. And so we were praying and Josie said this phrase and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so good. I didn't write on the whole thing, but you said, even if I never come to see it, even if I never come to see it. And so again, because I'm sitting on the Israelites right now, I'm watching Moses and I know the story, right? I know he doesn't get to enter the promised land. And the story of the Israelites, all that stuff. And I'm like, do you have enough faith to continue to serve God if you never get to experience or see the promise?
Yeah.
Or what you want to see or have? Do you know what I mean? Do you still love him enough to serve him?
Yeah.
Do you still love him enough to eat the cost? Do you still love him enough to suffer? Even if it's not for yourself, but it's for the people after you.
Yeah. And it's because in that prayer, I think I was analyzing my own heart too. And God was analyzing my heart. And I think it's so revealing to your relationship with him is how much, and you say you don't. Again, it's the heart transform thing. We know what to say. I know to say, I want this person to find Jesus. I know to say that. And that could be what I want, right? But then I started noticing these other factors, these other things in my heart that were clouding that maybe I did want some of the glory. Maybe I did want some of the recognition. Maybe I did want someone to think I was cool, whatever, And so there's little parts where we do that. And I think when we readjust and we go, okay, I know what God spoke. If I never get to see that, am I still going to serve the way that I'm serving? And I think that's so revealing to if you're chasing the promise more than you're chasing the character of God.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he was doing in that moment when I was praying that is I think revealing that to me.
Yeah.
One, how much work I might still have a little bit in there, but also how far I've come in it.
Yep.
Of, you know what, it's never been about the promise. I've made it about the promise before, but I'm finding that your presence is so much more important than the promise. Yeah. That I would die. I would die without your presence. Like at this point, I'm like, I will not live if you take your Holy Spirit away from me. And so I think when you shift your focus on that, one, inevitably things will start happening, which is of God, right? But now your heart's right to move forward. Yeah. Because you don't care about the promise anymore. Yeah. You care about the people that you affect and being close to God.
And I just feel like that's such a hard balance.
It is.
Is never, like everyone says, don't lose sight of the promise. Don't forget about what God said. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and so I think it forces us to get to that spot that you're talking about, which is, and maybe that's the whole purpose of it. We're not going to be like God, right? We're not going to be perfect. In that wrestle is where we put God on the rightful place. Do you know what I mean? Like, instead of being like, God, but I'm holding on to your promise. You said this, like, because it's not about that. And he has to humble us again.
It's not a one-time thing. I'm finding.
No,
I thought it was.
No. Yeah. Okay. I did it once. Yes. Last night I tried, I stepped into this small group and we were going to start reading, The Awe of God, by John Bevere. Yeah. And so I was excited. That's kind of on my reading list. And so I was like, oh, class start, we'll read it. And last night we talked about fear of the Lord, right? And versus fear. And when you hear the word fear, what do you think of? Stuff like that. It was just kind of an informational night, right?
Like a setup.
Yeah. Like, hey, this is what we're going to do. Yeah. So we're all, you're thinking about fear. And again, I had to really battle back. I know what the right answer is right now, but let's be truthful of whenever you hear the word fear, what do you think or feel, right? Anyways, I kept skimming my Bible and I'm like, I can't remember where I wrote this down. And it was that so often we, I think unintentionally, place God on the same level as ourselves.
So true.
And I'm like, because we're told, And I think especially, at least I'm going to say in the world around me, I don't know if this is everyone in the world, but growing up, it was very reverence. I had to wear a dress with frills underneath my dress. I don't know if you ever knew that.
You did?
Oh,
You Amish?
so I had to wear a dress every single Sunday until I was maybe like or teenager. And I started being like, Dad, I don't wear dresses. Like, and he's like, okay, like, but you had to be dressed up, right? There's this reverence. And I've heard speakers, very loud, predominant speakers in our world right now, talk about how they wish we would go back to that culture of like the reverence of walking into God's house and like we're dressed up. I get that.
I do.
Like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not speaking against that.
Yeah, I understand where they're coming from.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just think for so long the people who were in it felt unwelcomed to come, right? Like I don't have a
good. Yeah,
dress.
that's true.
I'm tattooed. Like I actually started like that's kind of what's not sent me away from church, but like kept me away is me being like, I'm fully tattooed. What are they going to say? You know, I have nose piercings. What are they going to say? I'm a hairstylist. What are they going to say? Like, so then it became, I'm not good enough. So I think we've pendulum swung, right, to the other end now where we're like, God's our friend. He's our friend. Like, oh, just whatever. It's fine.
Preach it.
Oh, and so now we're lowering God to our
going.
level because he's our friend.
Yeah.
Where we're like, I wrote this down. That's why I'm like, I need to find it in the Bible where I'm like, God's like, hey, I am a friend. Like you are a friend of God. I'm God. Like we're friends, but I'm still, I'm up here. Like we, like you can come to me about anything. Like the friendship is there,
For sure.
but we need to remember to put God on the place that he deserves to be and to show reverence and to show awe and to show the fear, like the right fear, right? Yeah. Righteous fear of him. And I'm really excited for this class because I'm like, to be honest, two of the people who are teaching it will probably be listening to this and be like, Leah,
we love them.
We do love them.
They've been on the podcast. Hint.
Two people. But it's funny. This is just exposing Leah is a really good mentor is teaching this class. And he was like, we should have fear. And I instantly, everything in me, like, like defensive, wanted to fight back, started going in my head of why that sentence is wrong, right? Like, and when I get like that, I know there's something wrong in my heart because now I'm trying to justify how I treat God, how I act, how I think of him, how I come. Well, the way I do it's right. The way you think about it's wrong. And so I'm like instantly everything in me tensed. And honestly, in my head, I was like, this class isn't for me because I don't know if I agree with that. And so as he keeps speaking, then I'm like, maybe this is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because maybe I've lost the fear and reverence that he deserves.
Yeah.
Maybe like I've treated him so much as a friend, as he is a friend. He's always there. He wants to come near you. He wants every single part of you. Yeah. But I think I've forgotten how reverent he is and how much he deserves, instead of me being like, well, I deserve this, God. Do this for me, God. Like, hey, we're not friends. He's my Lord. That means he gets to do what he gets to do and I get to say, okay, right? And he gets to tell me what's best for me and I get to trust that because he's Lord. Like there's so many things that I sat there and I realized how defensive I was getting. And I'm like, oh man, as much as I want to be like, this class isn't for me, that means it's a class for me.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. One, I'm getting teary-eyed because I feel like I'm literally like watching you transform before my eyes. So one, I'm so proud of you because I know how hard you've fought to kind of protect that closeness and that intimacy that you've built with God because it's so beautiful. So watching you being open again to learning something new about God or changing your, like that takes a lot of humility. And so like, I feel like you always look at me and you always encourage me on how far I've come or how much I've changed. And so watching you talk about it, I'm just like, I feel like I'm watching you like transform before my eyes.
Stop.
One. And two, I'm crying because when you were like, when you spoke and you're like, you know, this culture has made Jesus
Oof.
so much of a friend, and he is.
Yeah, I know.
He is, you guys. He's your best friend, but he's Lord. And so as you were saying that, I'm like, because we talk about this all the time, how we think a lot of moving forward, the problem isn't going to be people proclaiming the name of Jesus or identifying with Christianity, but missing one of the greatest parts of God, which is his lordship.
Yeah.
And as I'm hearing you talk, I'm like, it's not to disservice you.
Mm-hmm.
It's for your benefit that he is Lord.
That's good.
Like he, as Lord, he is protector over your life.
Mm-hmm.
As Lord, he is in ultimate control of the economy. As Lord, he is in control of over our president. As Lord, he can do whatever, you know what I mean?
Good.
And so it's for your benefit. It's not to judge you. It's not to be like, you've been thinking about me wrong. It's not that. It's because he loves you, and he knows if you put him in his righteous place, so much of your worldview will change. Your anxiety will lessen. Your depression will lessen. You'll want to read his word and then obey. And it's not a set of rules in this book, but when you put Jesus as Lord, you understand that he's in charge. And so you start to obey because you know how much he loves you. You know how much he's your friend, and you'll see the way you view life get better.
Yeah.
Your relationships will get better. Your relationships will start to redeem.
Yeah.
You'll start to speak into people's life. You'll see them grow.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to be like, I'm God, I'm the boss.
Yeah.
It's for your benefit.
Yeah. And getting to that place, because again, this has been not like it's been heavy on my mind, but like I've wrestled with this, right? Because of the book I wrote, because of the ministry that it was started through me, is really making sure that people knew no matter who you are enough, right? No matter where you're at in life, no matter what you do currently or in your past, you can still be a friend of God. God will still be your savior. He will, you can't do anything, right? So I'm like, this whole ministry for the last 2 years has been about that, which again, not saying I'm not reverent, not saying I don't fear God, not saying whatever, but the world is so loud right now. And I'm like, I don't know. It's hard because you want to speak out against it or you want to speak up, but then you know what? It doesn't matter what I say either. It's God.
Yeah.
It's just all in his hands.
It's so good.
You know what I mean? I want to.
Yeah.
I want to say stuff and I'm like, should I? Do I?
I know.
Does the ministry put something out? Do we not?
I know.
I get so stuck in that tension.
Me too.
And I'm like, for the last however many years, I really feel like God has been like, Leah, sit down. It's not you who needs to be seen. Right? It's me exalting him.
Yep. Exactly.
It's me showing God.
Yep.
It's not about my words.
Yeah.
It's not about what I say.
It's not about what people think of Leah.
No, or the ministry or well, they didn't say something about this, right? Like I literally fight that all the time in my head. I'm like, well, everyone else is posting something. Are we supposed to?
I know.
And I really feel like God has been like, they don't need your words. They don't. They need me.
Mm-hmm.
They need to see me.
Yep.
And so I'm like, how can I show Jesus here? How can I show Jesus here? Typically, that's God telling me, sit down. You don't need to be another voice in this and cause more division, right?
Agreed.
And I'm like, but whatever I'm going to say if I don't say anything?
Keep talking about God.
That you just keep talking about God.
And he kind of brought me to that point too, because I had told Leah, just struggling, whatever, especially with speaking out. And I feel like God has given me such an advocate heart and such a heart for injustice. And so it's really hard for me to battle where my intentions are coming from. If it's coming from just anger, righteous anger, what to say, what not to say. Is this going to create more division? Am I just being, am I not being bold? I'm scared what people are going to think of me. All that. Same with you.
Yes.
And and then I started thinking about the podcast and I'm like, is that what we're supposed to be using it for?
Right.
What more can I be doing? And he's like, just talk about me.
That's all.
Because really that's how lives are changed.
That's right.
It's just conversations about God.
That's right.
It's just pointing out God in daily life. It's just pointing out God in your walk and giving him the glory, not arguing politics.
I know.
Not arguing side for side.
That's right.
But just pointing to him, because if we all just pointed to him, the answer,
Mhm.
maybe it would fall down,
Mhm.
right? Instead
Mhm.
of getting caught up in the logistics of it. And there is a time and place for that. So I
Yeah.
don't want to
No, I
completely
know.
discredit that. But
Right.
I think we all have to be sensitive to what we're called to.
I think the struggle with that is we substitute. So we'll substitute posting online or reposting online for we'll be like, well, I spoke up, right? But then that's enough, right? Like we almost justify that.
Yeah.
Like I said something. So then instead of like how then there's this desire in my heart to be like, show God, we got to show God, we got to speak God, we got to meet with more
Yep.
people and talk about how good he is, how great he is, how,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, then I'm like, well, I already told everyone how I felt online, you know, like there's
Yeah.
not this like
And it almost,
urgency.
yeah. And there's no, who are you talking to? You know?
Yeah.
Like, who are you talking to?
Right.
What hearts are you thinking about
Right.
when you say that, you know?
Right.
And I think we also get into this game of like this virtue signaling, kind of like, well, we see this side as good, so I need to make it known that I identify with this side.
I know
So
what you mean.
does that make sense? So
Yeah.
people know my moral,
Yeah.
or that I'm good, or that I am thinking about this, or well, then we make it about us
Right.
and the way that we're appearing, right?
Yep.
Instead of about God and the way He's working.
Yeah.
We kind of we do here,
Yeah.
which if you're not on the camera, I'm pointing to me and Leah.
Horizontally.
We stay here instead of vertically,
vertically, yeah.
where we go here and
That's
then
right.
down, you know?
That's
And
good.
so I think we can kind of get caught. I've gotten caught up in that for
sure.
sure. And I mean, if I feel led to speak,
Yes.
and you have to be honest with yourself.
Yes.
That's the hard part.
Why am I doing
Why
it?
am I doing it?
That's right.
You have to sit with your heart posture.
Yes.
And make sure that you're not creating more division.
Yes.
That's something I've been guilty of, and I have to
Yes.
correct myself on all the time, especially with the heart of injustice
Yes.
that I feel like He's given me. It's
For
I
sure.
constantly have to check that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's good. I think it was during our prayer time I had pointed this out, but what we were just talking about is like we gotta show God. We just have to keep
Yeah.
showing God, right? I just felt like just with everything going on in the world right now. I mean, we don't have to bring it up. We all know, right? I'm like, God, do I say something or do I not? Do I post something? Do I not? Do I blah, blah, blah? And it's more of just show me, right? Like show me. And so I think the circles that I'm in, the world that I'm around a lot of Christians, right? A lot of people who are loud about their faith, who speak very loudly, which is great. Like, I love that. It's very sharpening. It's very encouraging. It's very whatever. But I think about, let's go back to Israelites that I'm like talking about studying about right now. I had pointed out, I think I was praying and I kind of brought this up. So we just watched all these plagues happen that get the Israelites out of Egypt. 10 massive plagues, which there's something about that. We'll hit that later, some other day. But now the Israelites are out in the wilderness trying to get to the promised land, and they just keep doubting God, right? They're like, well, I'm really thirsty. And so then God's like, okay, Moses, strike that rock, give them water, then they'll know that I'm God. So they get the water. A few days later, well, Moses, we're hungry. We need food. And so God is like, okay, Moses, I'm going to send manna down from heaven, and these are the rules. Then they'll know that I'm God. And so then He sends manna. And then something else happens, right? And then they're like, well, we don't, nah. And so then God's like, okay, Moses, do this. Then they'll know that I'm God. And so God keeps telling Moses, then they'll know that I am God. And I'm like, do they not know that you're God? You just killed the firstborn son of every single Egyptian. You sent locusts and darkness and gnats and can't drink the water and
Frogs or something.
Frogs,
didn't they?
locusts, like all these plagues. How do they not know that you're God? Right? And so then I'm like, how does the world not know
That's good.
who is Lord?
Yeah, that's good.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by miracles. I
Yeah.
see it every single day. I'm like,
Yeah.
how do they not know that you
Yeah.
provide? How do they not know that you protect? How do they not know that you have everything in your hands? How do they not know that you have a purpose for every single thing that happens? How do they not know? And that's why God's like, Leah, it's not you. I need to use you to show them who I am.
Yep.
And the cool thing about these plagues that I realized is I'm like, God could have in a moment released the Israelites from Egypt. He didn't need plagues. He didn't need warnings. He keeps sending warnings to Pharaoh, keeps being like, hey, through Moses, like there's time after time after time after time. Honestly, he could have done the 10th plague, the killing of all the firstborn sons, and then Pharaoh's going to let him go. Like he didn't have to do any of that stuff, and he does. Why? Because God is a God of mercy.
Yep.
He's a merciful God who's like, I know you're not going to, but I'm going to give you 10 different times to come back to me. I'm going to give you 10 times to do the right thing. I know you won't because he knows what's going to happen, but I'm going to give you every chance I can. And so I feel like that's where God's at in the world right now.
Too.
Is he's like, I'm going to give you every chance I can to come back to me. I'm going to give you every single chance I can. Like you see all the plagues happening. You see all the world like blowing up around you. And that's why it's so important for us not to be like, well, let my voice be heard. No, let
God be seen.
Let God be seen. That's right.
That's good. And, gosh, I had a thought when you were talking
No,
about that.
sorry.
No. You were preaching. I gotta let you go, girl. I ain't gonna interrupt that. Speak it. It's not about the plagues, man. I lost it. That's all right.
Was it the frogs?
No.
You knew
but
that one.
I don't like
You're
frogs. Yeah, because I don't like them. Because when I read that, I'm like, can you imagine
Gross.
a plague of frogs? Oh my goodness. That is just wild.
There was another one that I'm like, I forgot about this one. Oh, where is it? I think it was the boils.
Oh, yeah, the skin boils.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was looking it up like during that time because they don't have medication and stuff like that like us.
Yeah.
The smell.
Yeah.
Do you think your skin smelled?
Don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't.
Well, that's funny. Remember when I told you how
Gross.
yesterday? Okay, hold on. I've just remembered what I was going to say, and then I'll go into that.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you were talking about that verse, I don't know what verses. I bet you do. It's until every ear has heard.
Every tongue confess it.
Every
Jesus
tongue
Lord.
confess
Let me look it
something,
up.
and I'm like, that's what we're in, you guys. Like, he's a merciful God. Like, he's waiting until every ear has heard, and who does that? Who speaks about him? Who tells about him? Us. And that's what we need to do. Stop fighting politics, start speaking about him, because you're delaying the return of Jesus. And I'm trying to get Jesus back.
I'm trying to get Jesus back.
Until every ear is heard. That's what I thought of when you said that, because God is also giving opportunity to Pharaoh.
That's right.
Right?
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I mean, he's thinking about the Israelites, but he keeps saying, okay, I'll send this. Okay, then this, then they'll know. Okay, and then this, and then he'll know. Or this chance. And he's after Pharaoh's heart too, because that's also his son. And so that line, until every ear has heard, and we think of our enemies, and we think about people we don't like, or we think about people doing bad things, and we forget that God is also after their heart.
That's right. That's right.
Until every ear has heard and every tongue has
That's right.
confessed. But-
Because what I read in a commentary about so the Exodus, right? Like the leaving of Egypt.
Oh yeah, because that's what Exodus means, right?
Yes.
The exit.
So I'm like,
Learn that on Bible
is,
Recap.
I don't know where that is but there's a verse I never seen it before. But it's talking about like literally as they're leaving. Okay, just hang on. I have to find it because I've never seen it. Okay. So it says in Exodus 12, this is verse 37. So the Israelites are just leaving Egypt. I'd never seen this before. The night before the people left, they started for Seketh. I don't know what that is. There are about 600,000 men, plus all the women and children. Some non-Israelites went with them, along with their flocks and herds and livestock. So I wrote down, what? Israelites were not the only ones who left Egypt? There's a mixed multitude.
Yeah.
Because the God of Israel demonstrated that he was more powerful than all the gods of Egypt that they used to worship.
Till every ear has heard.
Yes.
Kept sending them.
So I'm like, so even
how many people can we save?
And even though God knew that Pharaoh wouldn't turn his heart, look how many people were saved in the process who never would have been.
Get this. Just right in my commentary, guess how many?
How many?
Were estimated. 2 million.
What?
2 million exited Egypt.
Woo!
That's wild.
That's crazy.
That's not what I pictured.
well, also,
I was picturing a couple hundred.
oh yeah,
Like when I picture it, like them wandering,
Yeah,
2
yeah.
million.
2 million.
No wonder God could only speak to Moses.
That's
It was absolute chaos. Because I always thought about that. I'm like,
yeah. Why just one?
yeah, which
Yeah.
is so arrogant. But
I
I'm
know.
like, and it's Old Testament. So again, different things. But
Different. So
different
different.
theology. We're not going to get into that. But I always pictured like a couple hundred. I'm like, why don't you just talk to them?
Oh, yeah.
2 million?
2 million.
Good luck getting them all on the same page.
Which is why they end up having tribes.
It also
and
goes to
leaders
show
and-
you how strong negativity can be and doubting can be when you're constantly around negativity and people who doubt God and people who don't profess the name of the Lord. How much that can affect 2 million people. We're doing that, you know?
I know. No, it's
Anyways, what were you gonna say?
great. I know. I'm like, I feel like we need to wrap up. There's
know.
so much about Exodus, but when
I'm
you
excited
get
to get
there,
to it.
that's why I'm like,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you
we'll
get
do it,
there,
yeah.
it's gonna be great. The crazy thing for me, okay, hearing that 2 million, the wild thing is it started with like, okay, let's even just back up to Joseph. There's a small family, right? It's Joseph and his 12 boys. And so like from there,
Yeah.
they all have their babies and then they all have their babies and then they all have their babies. Do you know what I mean? Like it starts from like one patriarchal family and then it grows into 2 million. And so this was the cool thing that I want to leave everyone with because it was just really like mind blowing to me. How did the Israelites end up in Egypt like this? So let's go back. It's going to back up to the story of Joseph where you're at right now. I'm like, wait a second. Like, why would they be in Egypt and slaves? Right. So when Joseph brought Jacob and all of his brothers, so the
during
dad
the
and all the
famine.
brothers during the famine,
Yep.
whenever they all come together and they're like, oh my gosh, everyone's alive.
They stay there?
They stay in Egypt.
Oh, that
So
makes sense.
Pharaoh, because he loves Joseph,
Yeah.
gives him a plot of land in Egypt and says, this is for you and your family. So
I kind of remember this a little bit, but I never
Yes.
put it together again because we were reading it so broken up.
so broken up. And so what's going to happen is all of them will die off, right? It'll just be their kids. That Pharaoh's going to die off. Everyone's going to forget about Joseph. And so then the Egyptians are going to be like, why are we just giving these people land? They're going to be our servants, right? And so they start treating them as slaves.
They start to go back into slavery.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, interesting. But this is what I saw in some commentary it was telling me. Because I'm like, why would they have to go like that? Like, why is that the story? Like, why did God put them through slavery? No. So Egyptians were so like prideful, like we're better than everybody else.
Yeah.
Like that.
Like puffed up.
And so when the Israelite family, so like Jacob and all the boys, all those sons, Benjamin, Reuben, whatever, all of them, when they live there, Egyptians are like, we're not talking to you. We're not having sex with you guys. We're not starting families with you. Because if you remember back by the promised land, they're hooking up with all the Canaanites who are not God's people.
Yeah. They couldn't even eat together.
Yes.
The Hebrews and the Israelites couldn't even sit at the same table.
Yeah. Or the Israelites and the Egyptians.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant.
Egyptians. Yeah. They literally couldn't even eat a meal together because of it. Yeah.
So God purposely brings them to Egypt almost like a baby in a womb and like, know what? I'm going to keep you guys all right here because you're going to grow, you're going to multiply, you're going to be a clean race that the Messiah is going to come through. I need you around people who are really prideful and won't even talk to you, right?
Yeah.
Because you got to stop hooking up with the Canaanites.
Yeah.
And so then he's like, and now you're ready.
Yeah.
Right. So then it's almost like the labor. Then you have the baby and it comes out and then now you're free. And so I'm like, isn't it so crazy when you think about like where you're at right now in the story with like Joseph? It's because of Joseph that they grow to 2 million people, an army for the Lord.
Do you think any of them were Egyptians?
I think, well, that's what that verse said.
Right? Because
a
they
mixed
start
multitude.
Because they start intermixing, right? They start having babies together.
Well, I
or
don't
no?
know. I don't know if they start. Well, maybe.
Wait, yeah. It says, hold on. Let me read this. The total number of people leaving Egypt is estimated to have been about 2 million. The many other people may have been Egyptians and others who were drawn to the Hebrews by God's mighty works and who decided to leave Egypt with them.
Yes. That's why I'm like, they probably saw all of it and they're like, who are we worshiping?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But why do we do that?
Yeah.
Why do we talk about God? Why do we share his miracles? Why do we share testimony? Why do we keep going? Why do we create a ministry? Why do we have a podcast? So other people will hear God and they'll exit Egypt because of what they have heard.
That's right. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh.
That's good. Later on in that chapter 12, it says God's telling them, like, this is where he's like revisiting. It's Exodus chapter 12, very end, like
Where are you at? 50?
verse 48-ish,
48? Okay. Yeah,
somewhere
I
in
see.
there.
I see.
It says, let all their males be circumcised. Then you'll celebrate Passover with you like a native born Israelite. This instruction applies to everyone, native Israelite or foreign living among you.
Yeah. That's
And so I'm like, I just think it's like this invitation to being like, you weren't an Israelite, but now I'm going to give you my covenant, because it's something he gives, not something we have to live up to. And so he's like, I'm going to let you be my chosen people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're accepted, and now you're not an Egyptian anymore. Like, when you serve me, then you're my child.
Yeah.
So-
And because it's so often talked about, I feel like in the Old Testament, like God was against people.
Yeah.
Or that he
Gentile.
was, or that he
you were
was
this and
only the Israelites. Like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? But here we see him accepting and welcoming in Egyptians
Right.
and people of other religions.
Right.
It's in there. You just got to dig for it a little bit.
That's right.
And I don't even know, without you pointing it, I don't even know if I would have saw that.
Right.
I mean, that's such a minor detail.
It is.
But that's why it's so important to just like linger on
Yeah.
God's word.
Yeah,
But, yeah.
And just
But I'm
look-
like, it changes like
I know.
so much of God's heart
Right.
when you search it.
Right.
Right. And so when you get to those points, and I talk about this with a girlfriend all the time, when you get to those points when you're like, this weird. Yeah, it's freaking spotted goats. Don't even get me started on these spotted goats, homie. But when you get to these points where you're kind of like, this, I don't feel like God's character. Like, that's typically now where I've been trained to be like, okay, I got to dig deeper here.
That's right.
Because this isn't my God.
That's right.
This isn't the God that I know, that I've witnessed in my life, that I've witnessed in everybody else's life around me.
right.
So I'm going to dig here.
That's right.
And so I feel like it's kind of what you did.
I know.
In that moment, you're kind of like, whoa, like a
Yeah.
little weird thing. And so
Yeah.
you dug and
Yes.
look.
Yes.
That's so cool. That's
I
so cool.
know.
I love it.
All right.
All right.
It's been a great time.
I got to pee.
Okay. We will see everyone
Love
next
you.
time.
Bye. Hey guys, it's Josie.
And Leah, thank you for listening to Dear God Ministries podcast. Our prayer is that you hear God in our conversations and begin to see God working in your daily life. If you'd like to support what we're doing, you can subscribe on Spotify and follow us at Dear God Ministries on Instagram and Facebook.
Hey, and until then, may the Lord bless you and protect you. May the Lord smile on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord show you his favor and give you his peace. We love you.